The strongest being in the Imperium is without a doubt the Emperor. He's probably the closest mortal, if you could even call him that, towards becoming a god. His feats are numerous, his influence has spread across the stars, and even in this half-death state, he continues to be a force of hope for all of humanity. Recently, I did a video on Urda, the mother of Primarchs, and we've seen what the second strongest perpetual was capable of. Let me remind you, she is perpetual, so she cannot die. When she fights, she is able to split her form into three: a child, a middle-aged woman, and an elderly woman. Each is a monster combatant, and they are even capable of freezing their enemies in time. Now, of course, for the full lore, I greatly recommend you check out the video, which I'll have linked. But for now, let's see the feats and abilities of the strongest perpetual, the Emperor of Mankind. Being alive for tens of thousands of years grants you untold knowledge as well as fighting skills. He is an expert swordsman, as can be seen when he battled, or should I say massacred, thousands of orcs. His sword was a blue steel shimmer, too fast to follow with the naked eye. He moved through the orcs without seeming to move at all, simply existing at one point to kill before appearing elsewhere to reap green-skinned lives by the score. Each blow struck with the force of an artillery blast, and shattered bodies of the orcs flew wherever he was. His flaming sword, however, wasn't his only weapon, as he also utilized his modified lightning claw. His outstretched gauntlet blazed white gold fire that blew apart his enemies into explosions of red cinders and ash. The massive gauntlet battered orcs to boneless globs with each punch. Now his true strength lies not in his sword and gauntlet, but in his psychic abilities. For with metal and bolt, he became a whirlwind of death, but with his warp powers, he's an unstoppable maelstrom that none can even hope to diminish. He crushed the orcs with invisible coils of force and repelled their gunfire with mere thoughts that turned their rounds to smoke. And to add to these were also super orcs from Goro, Primarch-sized orcs, huge, hulking, tough, behemoth primal orcs. Think of it as a horde of Ghazghkull Mag-Uruk Thrakas fighting against the Emperor. Yeah, that's how powerful he was. Now, another feat of his strength, and probably the strongest opponent that the Emperor has fought, was against the Dragon of Mars. This dragon also goes by another name, the Void Dragon, the ancient Catan. This star god devoured the very stars of old, and it was capable of decimating entire civilizations and worlds. Later, these Catan would be known as mere weapons of war for the Necrons. Now, most Catans that we see are fractions, mere shards of their former selves, and they're still feared and utilized to this day. But in the past, when the Emperor fought against the Void Dragon, we can only assume that he was fighting this godlike being at its strongest, and the Emperor won. He then used this body of the machine god to essentially bring Mars and their cult of technology to compliance and become allies with Terra and humanity. Now, I should mention another feat of his strength that, in my opinion, is less than taking on the Void Dragon, but still a very important feat, and that is the slaying of Horus Lupercal, the Emperor's favorite son. For upon the vengeful spirit, the Primarch Horus had already killed his brother Primarch Sanguinius, and he was empowered by all four of the Chaos Gods. He was essentially a mere puppet to them. The Emperor did try to save him, but ultimately he had no choice but to slay him and eradicate his soul entirely so that the Chaos Gods could not use him again. Now, with the Horus Heresy novels coming to a close pretty soon, we will be getting a book titled The End and the Death, and we might get some new lore or a more insightful look into this monumental battle. But for right now, we can infer that the Emperor did indeed slay Horus and burnt up his soul completely. so that there is no crumbs of Horus being left alive or anything like that, and I still think that will be the case in the coming novels. Now, I could go on and on as to how powerful the Emperor is with other feats, but let me just give you a quick rapid fire of 3 feats that I think are still instrumental. He was able to grant immortality to his saints, such as Saint Celestine. He's capable of shapeshifting and traversing Tzeentch's labyrinth. If you don't know, basically, he turned into a little girl and a dog, walked into Tzeentch's labyrinth, and basically just said, hey, even a little girl can best your labyrinth, so it's not that hard. And then lastly, he forced the entire 100,000 legion of the Word Bearers to kneel with a mere wave of his psychic invisible force. So the Emperor is a badass. He's capable of commanding 100,000 Space Marines without even batting an eye. The dude can literally heal wounds, repair machines, like there's nothing he can't do. And honestly, with that kind of power, it leads me to believe that even him sitting on the throne, he still has a purpose, and he is still probably one of the strongest fighters and people in the Imperium currently. Now just imagine how much stronger he would become if he does ascend to godhood. Would he become stronger than the Chaos Gods? Would he be strong enough to keep humanity safe when all these Xenos, heretics, and demons are at humanity's throat? Perhaps. But again, we might get some more insight on that when these Horus Heresy novels come to a close. Honestly, when it comes to the Emperor, he's one of my favorites to talk about, because you can almost say anything about him, and it could be right. He is flawed, however. He did mess up by not telling the Primarchs about Chaos. He did choose a pretty shitty way to save one of his Primarch sons, Angron. Like, he could have saved him and his gladiators instead of leaving them all to die. So say what you want about the Emperor, he can be as strong as, the next guy, but what good is strength if you're just a bad dad at the end of the day? I mean, think about it. He ignored Magnus's psychic plea to basically prevent the whole Horus heresy. I mean, the list goes on, but whatever you want to say about him, he is pretty interesting. Maybe all of these were on purpose. Maybe these things did need to happen to ensure humanity's survival and future prosperity. But regardless, if you want a more satirical look into how the Emperor can be resurrected from his golden throne, I greatly recommend you guys check out this video here, because it's pretty hilarious and I did it quite a while ago and it's probably still one of my favorite videos that I've done. But with that being said, that's all I have to say for today. Thank you guys for watching, and please leave your comments down below. I want to know what you guys have to say about the Emperor. What do you think his strongest feat is? And don't forget to share this video. Subscribe for more 40K videos each and every day. And you can go that extra mile by helping us by donating directly via this super thanks, which YouTube is now doing. If you don't want to, I understand, times are getting tough, times are getting rough out there. But you can also help us out by simply hitting the like button, commenting, sharing, and of course, subscribing. Once again, guys, thank you for watching, and as always, this has been the Sound Alchemist, Lord of One Mind Syndicate, signing out. Peace.